Getting ready to cap off what's already been an exciting weekend here at the Madrid Superspeedway as we prepare for race number 6 of Division 2 of the NNSCRA Skittles Super Speedway Series. If you're not used to Madrid, if you haven't tuned in this entire weekend, let me lay it out very simple for you. Madrid is basically Talladega Superspeedway. It just looks a little bit different, but the racing's the same, the configuration's the same. You can see here, as you see the cars on the grid, that the start-finish line positioning is the same, just down outside of the tri-oval. So it's basically like we're racing at Talladega again. The only difference is the name and basically a little bit how it looks, as my dog is obviously very excited about it as well. But yesterday we had a really good race here at Madrid in the Division 1 event, and looking to have equally as good a race here today. Maybe a fuel strategy race. We didn't get to see a fuel strategy race really in yesterday's race because we ended up having a caution come out right in the middle of green flag pit stops. And so hopefully here today they'll be able to avoid the trouble spot, which has primarily been off of turn number 4, although some drivers have also had issues off turn 2, riding just a little too high, carrying too much speed and scraping the wall. Hopefully they'll avoid that, and maybe we can see a race here at Madrid go clean and green from start to finish, and thus be a fuel strategy type race. Cody Llamas is going to make it 6 for 6 here in Division 2 of having a different driver sitting on the pole, as he had an unbelievable lap last couple of days ago, back on Friday. He will line up on the pole position alongside of Trey Wright. Now, coming into this race, Cody Llamas finds himself currently in the 20th position in the points, and Trey Wright 17th in the standings. Both drivers could benefit from a win here today to move themselves up into the top 10 in points. Let's go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports here at Madrid.
Drivers, start your engines!
So as the command is given, let's give you your top 10 the point standings coming into this race, presented by Blame Shelly Insurance. It'll take them a little bit of time to get around this 2.66 mile super speedway. Fury Gamington comes into this race as the points leader. He also starts this race from inside the top 10 in the 9th position. 13 points in hand he has over Nathan Stapleton. Stapleton's going to be starting this race from dead last, so he's already got a bit of a deficit there to start off this race. John Andrews, however, he is the highest qualifying driver that's in the top 10 in points coming to this race, rolling off inside of row 2 there in 3rd place. He's only 18 points out of the points lead. And Nathan Ormond, who took the checkered flag last week in that photo finish at Dragonette, jumped up to 4th in the standings. He also only 18 points out of the overall point standings lead. Jeff Scott, who won a few weeks ago at M&M's, he's 5th in points. 6th is Caleb Farrell, our Daytona winner. Tristen Allen is up to 7th. We talked about him during the Division 2 qualifying session. He's been very quiet so far this season, but he's up in the top 10 and he's starting 6th in this race. Karson Gum, another driver who's been very consistently quiet, he is 8th in the standings. William Flickinger currently 9th, and Benny Watson completes the top 10 coming into this race as far as the point standings are concerned. Of our 5 race winners so far this season, 4 of them we mentioned inside of the top 10, Gamington, Ormond, Scott, and Farrell. The only driver that comes into this race that has a win that is not inside the top 10, right now 18th in the point standings, and that is William Brock. Brock going to be starting 36th in today's race. Yesterday, Vance Caldwell went to victory lane, getting his first win of the season. Started the race at Madrid in the 3rd position. So we'll have to see if lightning strikes twice and John Andrews, rolling off from P3, will be able to go to victory lane here today. Now, at most super speedways, the start-finish line would be right down in this area, like it is at Daytona, in the center of the tri-oval. But since this is like Talladega, the start-finish line is not here. It's all the way down here between the tri-oval and turn number 1, so the extra few hundred feet could be the difference between who's going to be going home the winner and who's going to be going home second. But we're going to go green. Let's roll at Madrid. A couple of drivers really struggled last week at Dragonette and dropped out of the top 10, top 15 in the point standings. We'll see if they can bounce back here today. One of them starting up here towards the front, trying to actually lead the first lap as he will go 3 wide to the inside. That's Simon Salera in the 4. Salera's been up inside the top 10 pretty much for the entirety of the season so far, but last week, bit of a bump in the road, and he dropped 8 spots in the standings. He's now comes into this race 14th in points. As you heard, a couple of drivers slapped the wall there off of turn 4. That's going to be an issue here today. Unlike Talladega, this track very hot, very humid down up here in, well, I should say up here, as we are above the equator here in Madrid, Spain. So these drivers having to deal on that high line with very little grip. That's why you see them drift up and brush the wall. They're also carrying very high speeds, upwards of 200 miles per hour, 205 going down the back straightaway here. The race leader, Simon Bloomfield. Let's see what they reached going into turn 3. Just ticked 207. Did the Discord Toyota, and of course all these drivers back in the draft are getting maybe another 1 or 2 miles per hour added onto their speed. So we're going anywhere from 205 to 210 into turns 1 and 3, more than likely into turn 3. I think that this little dog-leg front straightaway might hinder a little bit of the speed going into turn 1. No, 207 again for Bloomfield, so maybe it doesn't hurt them that much. Another driver that I think is going to be trying to bounce back after a disappointing run last week, and that's Alex Benyacko. Benyacko was 16th in points and dropped to 25th. A couple of other drivers that I'm going to be interested to see if they bounce back from losing a number of spots in the standings last week include Jordan Lopes and Dillon Young. You see Dillon Young there up on the high side with Caleb Farrell, that orange and white machine. His teammates work the bottom, 4th and 5th. We've talked about Tristen Allen with a good qualifying result. Karson Gum qualified in this race in the 22nd position, his teammate James Shelly in 21st, and they have now worked their way up into the top 5. James Shelly comes into this race currently 39th in points. He was headed into Dragonette last week, dead last in the standings. Managed to pick up 1 position. That now puts Jake Galloway dead last in the points, and Dillon Young up into the wall there I saw in turn 1, and he rode the wall all the way through to the exit of turn 2, so he's going to lose a ton of positions. He might also have some damage now on the right side of that Hooters 4. It was Toyota's 1-2, Chevy's 3-4. Now the Chevy's ganging up and breaking the Toyotas up as Alexander Rowe gets kicked up to the high side. Alexander Rowe also struggled last week at Dragonette, dropped from 16th to 27th in the standings. And here comes the points leader on the bottom, that Dodge of Fury Gamington. Karson Gum loses his partner James Shelly. Shelly's going to be kicked up to the high side as Gamington goes low. Levi McIntire follows him through, as well as the Chevy of Patrick Smith. Now Karson Gum left to go mano-a-mano with the 21 of Simon Bloomfield. Bloomfield almost qualified in the top 10 in points, started 11th, was 1 spot away from moving into the second round of qualifying, and has worked his way up here to the front. Now, one thing that we saw in yesterday's Division 1 race, in 2 separate occasions, was a driver get out in front and nobody be able to mount a charge. Trying to remember who it was in the Division 1 race early on that got out in front and nobody could pass him. I think it was Jay Jefferson, if memory serves me correctly. And then when we had that late race restart and Vance Caldwell got out in front, then nobody was able to pass him for the win. Now we have a 2-time winner over in Division 1, that being Brady Burkhart. But we have yet to have a 2-time winner over here in Division 2. Fury Gamington up there in the 2nd position, and his teammate Oneal Balvin right behind him, so those Dodges out of Gamington Motorsports might be able to work together. Jack Hallec in the 13 has now worked his way up into the 4th position. That's a driver that's knocking on the door for a top 10 in the points. 11th in the standings coming into this race. And another Dodge out of Gamington Motorsports not too far back. You can see right there the brightly colored M&M's Dodge of Eric Sadler. So an opportunity for them all to work together as Trey Wright, outside pole sitter, was into the wall off of turn number 2. Shades of what happened to Dillon Young a couple of laps ago, and we do have some stragglers there at the rear of the field, though it doesn't look like anybody has entirely lost the draft, and as soon as I say that, I am incorrect. Simon Salera He's losing the draft there. You can see the right side damage on the Doritos Cool Ranch Chevy. There's one of the cars I know for certain was in the wall, Dillon Young. Doesn't look like he's got damage, though. I thought Trey Wright might be coming to pit road for a moment, but he just moved way low to get by Chris Maley, who's back here with a 77 of Jesse Turner. I'm not certain, but it looks like Turner might have some front-end damage. I don't know if it's just the damage model on this car or the glitch or whatnot. It looks like that hood's buckled up a little bit. There's the car I just saw moments ago in the wall, and there is last week's winner, Nathan Ormond, back here in 35th. Luckily for him, he's got that win in the bank, which has him at least in the running right now for one of those 8 playoff positions. You can see he's gotten into the wall too, some damage on the right side of his car. Charles Sandfer had a heck of a run last week at Dragonette, jumped up 10 spots in the point standings to 15th, but he's at the rear of the field. Caleb Farrell, our Daytona winner's back here. Our M&M's winner, Jeff Scott, is back here. Our Armory Digital winner, William Brock's back here. And there is the pole sitter, Cody Llamas, also back here, and he's been in the wall as well. You can see damage on his car. So, to me, it looks like we've had more drivers in the wall in this race than we had in yesterday's race, as we've had a new race leader. Oneal Balvin got around Simon Bloomfield. He's to the race lead. Karson Gum to second. Third place is Eric Sadler, and here comes Rob Evans. There's a driver that could use a good run today. 38th in the point standings so far this season. Still looking for his first top 10 finish of the year. His average finishing position, 27th. And Nathan Stapleton, remember we said he started dead last. He now has cracked the top 10. Just took 5th place away from fellow Toyota Simon Bloomfield. Now, we did manage to go all the way to the green flag pit stops in the Division 1 race. The green flag pit stops took place roughly between, I think it was laps 14 to 16, if memory serves me correctly. But it was those green flag pit stops that brought out the yellow flag and gave us the late race restart. If we can just avoid a caution coming out when these drivers begin that cycle of pit stops, then we may end up seeing a really good fuel strategy race. His teammates out in front, Balvin the 11, Sadler in the 14. Balvin comes into this race currently 35th in points. Sadler not much better in 33rd. They've seen their teammate go to victory lane already this season at Pigs Creek, that being Fury Gamington. Now they want to be able to get to victory lane as well. Stapleton in 3rd, Bloomfield now back to 4th, and Michael Norman has now cracked the top 5. Norman, after Dragonette, fell out of the top 10 in points, fell from I think it was 9th to 12th. Now trying to bounce back as he's going to go to the inside. He's going to go from 5th up to 3rd, bypassing both Bloomfield and Sadler before they even exit turn number 4. Stapleton now into 2nd. It is Dodge, Toyota, and Chevy, the front 3. Got to look ways back to 5th. Actually, a battle for 5th before you get to the first fusion. That is Jack Hallec. Josh Drake now moving up into the 6th position in that 66 Autism Speaks Chevrolet. Battle for the lead. Stapleton looks low. Bloomfield is going to be down there with him. It's Camry's on the bottom, trying to get the race lead. I think Stapleton's going to get him cleared off of turn number 4. And indeed he will. Nathan Stapleton will go to the race lead. Closing in on that cycle of green flag pit stops, and of course with it being that we will maybe have these pit stops under green, that's going to be a bit of a hindrance for some of those drivers at the rear of the field that have that right side damage. Means they're going to spend a little bit of extra time on pit road trying to get their cars aerodynamically sound, and more than likely they will lose the pack, but a number of them have already lost the pack. Salera's still way back here, and then there's this group of cars who I think at one point or another have all brushed the wall. Llamas, Maley, Wright, Young, Turner, and Ormond. 2 drivers in particular this is going to hurt in the point standings are Dillon Young and Nathan Ormond. Young came into this race 21st in points. That was after being 11th in the standings last week. And Nathan Ormond comes into this race 4th in points after his win last week at Dragonette. Chris Maley was 22nd in points. We mentioned already about Cody Llamas and Trey Wright. Both started on the front row for this race. Llamas on the pole, Wright in 2nd. Wright was 17th. Llamas was 20th. And Jesse Turner coming into this race was 29th in points. So all these drivers are going to suffer unless they're able to maybe get a caution to catch back up. And Simon Salera, the wheels have really fallen off of the momentum train that he had. Simon Salera was qualifying up in the top 10 week after week. He was running well. He was up there in the top 10 in points, and now he finds himself 14th in the standings and in danger of finishing this race with a poor performance. Maybe, if things don't change, dead last. No doubt about it, when Simon Bloomfield's gotten his car out in front, he has been the car to beat. But we saw yesterday that Jay Jefferson appeared to have the car to beat. That late caution, though, messed him up. The win went to Vance Caldwell, and Jefferson, in turn, ended up finishing out that race all the way back in the 23rd position. So a lot can change if a yellow flag comes out. Zachary Fitzwater now up here, that bright orange and blue Autotrader.com Chevy. And the pit stops are going to begin. You can see as the 59 moved up, the 21 of Bloomfield says he's coming to pit road. Can they all get these pit stops done without a yellow, though? Bloomfield, Sedale Salera, Michael Norman, Gamington, Hallec, they're on the pit lane. Balvin is in. Alexander Rowe, Trey Wright, Cody Llamas. So Fitzwater will get the bonus point for a lap led. Fitzwater comes into this race down in the bottom of the point standings at 34th. Well-needed bonus point for him. He's putting it right down to the bottom, so I think he and Josh Drake are probably coming to pit road this time. Looks like, well, I thought Galloway in the 23 was going to stay out, but he's going to come to pit road. It looks like everybody's coming to pit lane. Wow, Karson Gum came flying in. As long as you get that car down to 55 miles per hour, you're fine. And I think everybody is pitting here. Oh, no, there's a couple of guys that stayed out. That looked like the 96 of Caleb Farrell staying out and leading a lap. He's been at the rear of the field for most of this race. Daniel Voyles and Nathan Stapleton staying out as well. And I believe Nathan Ormond in the 95 also stayed out an extra lap. We'll probably see these four on pit road this next time by. And we have managed for the majority of this field to get to pit lane without a yellow flag coming out. So it looks like this is going to be a race to the finish, green flag all the way. Unless I just jinxed it. Farrell's going to hit pit road. Voyles is going to come in as well. Stapleton is in. There's rear end damage on Stapleton's car, I just noticed. A lot of damage on that car as Ormond also hits pit lane. I don't know if we had a wreck take place coming onto the pit road or not. This is a battle right here for the race lead. Jake Galloway just came off pit road. He's going to cycle into third as Sedale Salera looks like he will cycle into the race lead. And Nathan Ormond's out of the race. Ormond is out of the race, and I think he might have been the one that ran into the back of Nathan Stapleton, perhaps. So the 30 car going to lead the way here at Talladega. They've got Caleb Farrell scored the leader, but there you see the pass right there for the lead. So we'll give you a full field rundown here of who's running where. So as you look at what happened, didn't bring out the caution, but involved Nathan Stapleton and Nathan Ormond. Stapleton, I believe, still running, but with a lot of rear-end damage, and Nathan Ormond, as we documented, out of this race after taking the checker flag last week at Dragonette. We're waiting for unofficial, will be official when he hits the line, leader Sedale Salera to hit the stripe, and we'll give you as full a field rundown as we can. And it'll be with 6 laps to go. So as Sedale hits the line, he's the race leader. Simon Bloomfield there in second. He's had probably the strongest car all day. Then you got another 2-car tandem forming up here. Third place is Jake Galloway, dead last in points. So nice to see him having a good run. And then Rob Evans, who's also down there in the points, 38th. He's in 4th. Oh, Jake Hallec there in 5th place. 6th, Michael Norman. 7th is Zachary Fitzwater. Looks like they might be able to hook up and work together, make a 3-car pack. 8th place right now would be Alexander Rowe. I'm not sure why they've got him scored in 9th though. Pretty sure he's 8th place. I'm gonna wait till he crosses the line just to confirm, and indeed he is. So Rowe is in 8th. 9th place right now is going to be Karson Gum as he makes his way by Josh Drake, who'll fall to 10th. And Fury Gamington's lost 4 spots in the last 2 laps. He dropped from 7th, now back into the 11th position. 12th place under contest, Oneal Balvin, Eric Sadler, Caleb Farrell, Alex Gray going 4 wide, Adam Garcia in this group as well. This would be from technically 12th back to 16th. 17th right now, William Brock, our winner from Armory. 18th place is Daniel Voyles. 19th, James Shelly. 20th is Jordan Lopes. Talked about him needing a good run after the struggles last week of Dragonette. Then you got Trey Wright in 22nd. Benny Watson, who's had some good performances last couple of weeks. He's back in 23rd. Or I'm sorry, 22nd. 23rd is Jeff Scott. 24th, now Alex Benyacko. 25th will be Patrick Smith. 26th is under contest between Vince Almariego and Keith Batson. 28th is John Andrews. Boy, he was looking like he could maybe take the points lead over, but not a good run for him right now in 28th. 29th is our pole sitter, Cody Llamas, who still has that right side damage. Levi McIntire is back in 30th. 31st place is Kyle Langeland. 32nd is William Flickinger. 33rd, Charles Sandfer. 34th, Chris Maley. 35th place is Jesse Turner. Tristen Allen has dropped all the way back here to 36th. Dillon Young in 37th. I think they both had some right side damage, had to spend a little bit of extra time on pit road. 38th, damaged off the pace, that's Nathan Stapleton. 39th, also off the pace, is Simon Salera. And the only car out of the race that will finish this event in 40th place, last week's winner, Nathan Ormond. Now, while we were going through the field, I was also keeping an eye on the ticker up on the top left, because Jake Galloway and Rob Evans, their 2-car tandem, and also the 2-car tandem of Jack Hallec and Michael Norman, they are reeling in the top 2. That last time by about 1.2 seconds, now almost just a full second separating the first 2-car tandems. Well, I said this track races like Talladega. I didn't think it was going to be racing like Talladega back in 2010, 2011. But we've got 2-car tandems, 1st and 2nd, 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th. Question is, though, how many cars will we have up here in the hunt for the win when all is said and done? Because this time by, it'll be the white flag, and Simon Bloomfield's in a bit of a pickle right now because he doesn't have anybody to help him if he makes a move. He's got to time, if the cars of Galloway and Evans catch him, he's got to time the move just right so that way their momentum pushes him to the front. Sedale Salera 37th in points, trying to get himself a boost here of momentum after what's been a very struggling start to the season in the first 5 races. Look at Galloway and Evans. They have caught the draft. Big run for those 2. Now the question is, can Galloway go anywhere with this momentum? Through 3 and 4, it's now 4 cars up in the lead pack. Salera, Bloomfield, Galloway, and Evans. 3 of these cars struggling in the points. Galloway makes a move for 2nd. Can't do it. They'll still be single file to the line. It'll be Sedale Salera picking up his first career win in the Skittles Super Speedway Series here today at Madrid. The highest in points of the top 4 finishers today was Simon Bloomfield. He was 19th in points. The other 3, 37th, 38th, and 40th in points. What a great points day for Salera, Galloway, and Evans. And Sedale Salera now, is this going to be the win that's going to help this team get some momentum and move up through the points? We'll have to wait and see. He had a somewhat decent run last week at Dragonette, moved from 39th to 37th in points, but this certainly was the best finish they could ask for here today at the Madrid Super Speedway. And now we have run 6 races and had 6 different drivers go to victory lane. Now for Sedale, he's going to have to make sure that he gets his number 30 Doritos Cool Ranch Chevrolet up into the top 30 in points for that win to count towards one of the 8 playoff positions. And we'll have to see at the end of this video if indeed he was able to move up enough spots to leave Madrid in the top 30 in points, or will he have to wait until the upcoming races, including next week at Pensacola. We're going to have to wait and see. As you take a look here at your full finish results from this race, Salera, Bloomfield had the strongest car, but he's going to have to settle for second. I think he led the most laps today, but I'm not 100% sure. Jake Galloway, dead last in points, will finish third. Rob Evans, 38th in points, will finish in fourth. Great to see those drivers get a good runs here today. Jake Hallec will jump up into the top 10 in points with a 5th place run today. Michael Norman also will probably jump back up into the top 10. Hallec and Norman were 11th and 12th in points. They finished 5th and 6th today. Karson Gum continues to be that quiet driver. He was, 8th in points coming to this race, 7th in today's event. Josh Drake, great run in 8th. 9th place for our Pigs Creek winner, Fury Gamington, and Alexander Rowe. Nice run for the 83, as he'll bring it home inside of the top 10. You look on down through the rest of the finishing results here, down through 28th, and then I look a little bit further down here, and this is where you start to see some drivers that are going to drop in the point standings, and that would include John Andrews, who came in 3rd in points. He was only 18 points out of the points lead. 29th is where he finishes. Kyle Langeland had a great run last week, jumped up 13 spots to 16th, but he finishes 32nd here today, so he will probably drop again. Charles Sandfer also had a good run last week at Dragonette, jumped up to 15th in points, but he finished in 34th. And Tristen Allen was very consistent. First 5 races of the season, 7th in the standings coming to this race. Struggled here today. He'll finish in 36th. And Dillon Young, another driver that has struggled here in the last couple of weeks, dropped 10 spots last week after Dragonette. He will drop even more spots today with a 37th place finish. You can see the cars that finished way back there. Nathan Stapleton had that damage coming to pit road after getting run into by Nathan Ormond. Simon Salera had early struggles after hitting the wall, never was able to recover, so that team continues to free fall. And the only car that finished out of the race was Nathan Ormond, last week's winner, after that pit road contact back during the round of green flag pit stops. So that's going to do it here today from our race at Madrid. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. Sedale Salera takes the checkered flag. Here are your point standings heading next week, as we will be heading to Pensacola, Florida at the Pensacola Super Speedway. Been a while since we've actually run a race at Pensacola, so it'll be very interesting to see what type of racing we will see there. We will kick things off next Friday with qualifying for both Divisions 1 and 2, and then Division 1 will have their race on Saturday evening, Division 2 their race on Sunday evening. So thank you all for tuning into this race. We will see you guys next time here on the SJ Sports Channel, Offline Racing at its best.